Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns and Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we are talking about the feat Initiate of High Sorcery.
I guess I get like doing a muscle pose probably isn't. It probably should be like
No, that's
high sorcery.
yeah.
um, this is a neat one. This is from the new Dragonlance books. They're all about the Dragonlance setting, and I know there's a bunch of novels and other things and deep, rich lore and history there, and I know none of it. I know exactly zero of it, but I did go out and buy the book because I was like, I can't find these tweets on the internet anywhere, and these seem neat. So
I
the
read
ones you
I read the Dragonlance books too late. It
Mm,
was after I started writing my own fantasy novels. I thought, if I'm going to be writing D&D crap, I should probably get to know some of it. And
mhm.
I felt like if I read these when I was a kid, they would be awesome. But I'm not really feeling it now.
As an adult man, these swim a little bit worse for you. Yeah, that's fair. So this particular feat is a prereq for three other feats. So basically, there's two trees that you can go down, 2 feat trees. One is for fighters, and one is for fighters and paladins, and the other is for druid sorcerers. They also have like the prereq Dragonlance campaign, or you have like this background. I'm gonna let you know right now, if you're watching this video, the backgrounds are broken compared to every other background. They give you feats for free. So they're deliberately designed to be played in that setting, in the Dragonland setting where everyone is getting feats for free. If you're not playing that setting, you probably shouldn't be using the high size source or the high sorcery backgrounds or the backgrounds that come in this book. They're really pushed. I would Other people taking regular backgrounds like Baker are gonna have a bad time. So that's the first thing I'd note. Second thing I note, if you are otherwise wanting to take this feat outside of Dragonlance campaign, it's perfectly fine. This is a perfectly reasonable feat that has no business being restricted just to Dragonlance. I think if you're a sorcerer or wizard, this is a perfectly fine feat to have access to. I don't think it's gonna break the game in half. And the ones they evolve into are really cool. I would really recommend anyone that wants to do a build that is more dedicated to like actually growing and expanding in a specific magical lane, look towards these feats because they're pretty sweet.
Discuss it with your DM first.
Yes, obviously. This one specifically does some stuff. So you receive medical training from magic users affiliated with the Mages of High Society. We got there. Choose one of 3 moons of Kryn to influence your magic. The Black Moon, Nuitari is what I'm going with. The Red Moon, Lunatari, or the White Moon, Solinari. They are like about as bog standard as you could get for moon names. Big fan. Anyway, you learn one of 3 cantrips of your choice from the wizard spell list. You learn 1 cantrip of your choice for the wizard spell list and 2 first level spells based off your moon, as specified in the table below. You can cast each of the chosen spells once without a spell slot, and must finish a long rest before you can cast it again this way. You can also cast spells using any spell slots you have. So if you've got 2 first level spells that you like and you're a wizard, because you have to be to take this, you can spend first level spells on it. And then you pick, if you're using int, wizard, charisma, whatever, you pick this feat, and they use that ability score whenever casting, which is nifty. Oh, the
All right.
spells specifically. Nuitari gets Distant Whispers, False Life, Hex, and Ray of Sickness. Lunatari gets Color Spray, Disguise Self, Featherfall, Longstrider. Solinari gets Comprehend Language, Detect Good and Evil, Pro Good and Evil, and Shield. One of
These
these
are
things is
all
not like the other.
these are all the first level spells, right?
Yes, those are
The
the 3
cantrip you can
groupings of
choose
first
from
level spells.
anything in the wizard spell list.
Whatever wizard cantrip you
Um,
want. You get
But
one
the
wizard
first level
cantrip.
spells have to come from these lists.
Yes, 2
Yes.
of the 4 on these lists. My recommendations on pairings, if you're going into Atari, you're probably taking Hex and Dissonant Whispers. If you're going Lunatari, you're probably taking Disguise Self and Featherfall. And if you're taking Solinari, you're taking Shield and whatever else you want, because it doesn't matter because you took Shield. And that's a really busted one. The other ones are like Pro Good and Evil is probably the best of the 3. The other ones are Detect Good and Evil and Comprehend Language, and I'm not over the moon about either of those. But they're both fine enough. So, which of these 3 stand out to you as like, I want to go that one?
Um, well, I mean, it depends because I mean, it doesn't just start here. I mean, it doesn't end here because if you're taking this, it's probably because you're going to be taking feats down the road,
Yes.
and I assume if you grab Lunatari here, you're stuck with Lunatari for the progressive feats, correct?
Correct.
Yes. So I would have to take all that into consideration. But for this alone, um, let's see. It depends on what my character to be like. I mean, disguise self is always fun for some hijinks, but straight up combat, like I said, shield is good, or hex. And I guess does it depend on your alignment too? Because as I recall from the Dragonlance novels, each of these is related to an alignment. I think the white good, black bad, and or evil rather, not bad, but and the red robes of neutrality.
I feel like red is one of the least neutral colors you could possibly
Yeah.
go with. Is like name a color that is more related to like passion than red. You can't do it. It's wild choice. So it has there is a feat called Divinely Favored that it also so you learn a cantrip of your choice and get a spell based off the alignment of your character. So there is alignment in the feats here. I didn't see anywhere that it was specifically locked down any of these 4 feats, like the adepts, which are the 3 that grow out of this: adept of the red robes, white robes, or black robes, or this feat itself, Initiate of High Sorcery. Like I don't see anywhere on it that it requires your alignment. But like if hypothetically, if they are related to the evil and good and neutral, then yeah, sure, I guess that counts. Of these, what do you think is the most powerful?
Um, I like shield, but I'm gonna go with Nuitari. Just it's got the hex and the dissonant whispers.
Those are both pretty good
Ah,
spells. I like Hex on Wizard and Sorcerer a lot because it works with Scorching Ray, but that's kind of where it
mm.
stops. But if you go that build specifically, it could be very fun. You basically have to if you take Hex because it doesn't do anything else in the Wizard class because you don't get multi-attack otherwise. But Disney Whispers is perfectly fine. I think Solinari is probably the best. Fortunately, it also has, in my opinion, the worst of the 3 upgrade feats. It gives you like this protective ward thing. The black one gives you New Atari. The black one gives you its upgrade gives you like a damage channel where you can spend your life to increase your damage of your spells, which makes sense for Distant Whispers and stuff. And Lunatari, oh god, I don't remember what this one gives you. It was pretty baller. I think it was like a D10 that you can reroll skill checks with or something. It seems really
Oh
good.
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, you get magical balance, so you can make a roll 10 whenever you roll a 9 or lower, which is really, really good. Yeah, all 3 of them are worth upgrading towards. If you take those into context, I think Lunatari is probably the best. Because I'm really happy with this Sky Self and Featherfall. Those are both just banger spells all throughout the game, and their upgrade is really busted. At the same time, like all 3 of these are giving you huge access to do spells. All 3 of these are giving you a cantrip of your choice. All 3 of these are giving you meaningful improvements to your sheet. Like shield is a really big one that you'll be happy with all throughout the game. You'll never have a time where your shield's on your sheet and you'll be like, this is not where I want to be. Alternatively, like Featherfall is in the same boat. There'll be enough situations where you'll be falling to your death. You'll be like, actually, we're not, because I have Featherfall. There'll be enough times whenever you're like, okay, there'll be less times when Disney Whispers and Hex are that good, but you can still make use of them, especially in the early tier. The upper tiers, they're going to be a lot worse, but in the lower tiers, they're pretty reasonable to cast pretty regularly. So, all things considered, getting 2 free first level spells is really, really, really good at level 4. And that's, I think, where this feat ultimately lands. So, if that's what you're in the market for, even if you're not in Dragonlance, I'd consider this.
Now, before we started recording, I was a little confused. I was looking at this and I was looking at the Unearthed Arcana version, and you mentioned because yeah, they only gave you 1 first level spell, and this one gives you 2. And you mentioned they changed it because competing with what, Magic Initiate.
Yeah. So my guess,
Yeah,
I
right,
don't know
right,
the
right,
intention of
right.
the designers. But my guess would be they were like, wow, this is just strictly worse than Magic Initiate. And people would rather have Magic Initiate than this. So they instead decided to be like, well, you don't get to pick any spell you want. You get to pick 2 from the smallest of 4. And that kind of rebalanced it out, as opposed to just like you get 1 from these 4 and a cantrip, and it's a requirement for a future thing, and it's just worse than another thing, and it feels bad and stuff like that.
Okay, well, I brought it up because now I want to ask you, how do you feel this compares to Magic Initiate?
I think this is probably a little bit worse, which is wild because it gives you 2 first level spells instead of 1. The thing that makes Magic Initiate really good, in my mind, is Find Familiar specifically.
Oh.
If you aren't taking Find Familiar anyway, it still gives you access to whatever spell you want. If you ever
Hmm.
take Hex with this, you have to say, okay, is a casting of Dissonant Whispers, False Life, or Ray of Sickness better than a cantrip? And the answer to that question is often going to be no. If you're in a situation where, you know, you want shield, this gives you shield with spell slots. If you're in your own class, like if you're a wizard going for it, it's a way to get it. If you're going with sorcerer, it's a way to get it. Those both, like, if you're taking Magic Initiate in either of those classes, you already can use shield with your spell slots taken this way with Magic Initiate. So, like, that isn't really a great reason. You can cast these with spell slots isn't a great reason for this to exist, just because, like, you could already do that with all of the really powerful spells that are first level that you'd want. And alternatively, like, Magic Initiate also gives you access to outside of your class options, so it gives you access to, like, Healing Word if you really need to be the pocket healer. Just be like, get that person up, have them take a feat for it, because we do not have enough people that can get the cleric off death's door. I will be that person. There are lots of little niche problems that Magic Initiate does a really good job fixing, and it just because it has access to whatever you want it to be. It is any first level spell of your choice. These lists are quite a bit worse than any spell of your choice. And still getting extra cast is quite good. I don't think it's better than the cantrip trade-off with the flexibility.
What about, yes, all right. That's what I was thinking. However, what you didn't bring up is Initiative High Society. I did it this time. High Sorcery. It opens up the adept feats.
And those are really, really good. Those are definitely worth it.
With that in consideration, I mean, like, I guess
yes,
if you're planning a build toward the adept feats, then yeah, this is necessary.
Mm-hmm.
But if not, then yeah, probably Magic Initiative is better.
I struggle
if you're not planning and you just want to leave that door open. I don't know. Yeah.
I think if you would want a free cast of Shield, which you would, if you would want a free cast of Featherfall, which you sometimes would, if you would want a free cast of Hex, which you sometimes would, this feat is probably a side grade to Magic Initiate, where you're like, instead of a cantrip that I can cast it well, I'm getting another probably worse spell that's a free slot as well that I can cast with other spell slots. That's all fine. If you're ever taking a spell outside the class, obviously Magic Initiate is doing something this that never can. However, like, if you're gonna pick between the two and are gonna take them anyway, this has strict upside of being able to upgrade down the road. And maybe you're gonna want that someday, and you don't know, maybe you never get there, maybe you do. In which case you probably should just lean on this because of that potential, because the potential, like, the other three feats that you can build out of this are really, really good. They're like some of the only feats that exist that empower casting in a different way, or at least give access to casters new toys that aren't spells specifically, but a way to interface with them in different ways. And that's something that I think the game is sorely missing. So this building into that is a really notable feature. And if you think you're gonna be playing out a campaign that's going to be going, 10 plus levels, I think it's a pretty safe bet that you can take one of these early and be like, yeah, down the road I'm going to get a good feat out of the deal.
All right, cool. Well, Initiative High Sorcery. Man, you got that in my head.
I haven't even messed up once this recording. I don't know what you're talking about. I've only ever called Initiative High Sorcery as far as the internet's concerned.
That's true. All right. You got a rating?
I think this is a 4. This is a really powerful effect. It builds into really great feats, and it gives you 2 free first level spells. Like, even not competing with an amazing feat that is Magic Initiate, this is a perfectly competent spell or feat on its own. It gives you a ton of flexibility, a ton of new things to do. Variant Human with this is really good. Getting this a 4th level on your Sorcerers and Wizards is pretty great. I really wish it could go to characters that weren't Sorcerers and Wizards, but if you're not in Dragonlance, you can't really do that. So, I don't know. I think at most tables, if your DM's cool with it, you should definitely be like, this is something I want to try out. And I think you're going to have a pretty good time.
Yeah, I'm not going to give it a 4. I'm going to give it a 3. It's no doubt powerful. And if you are planning to go into the adept things, then yeah, this is necessary. And, maybe 5 at that point. But, on its own merit, where Magic Initiate exists, I love the flexibility. I find this too limiting. But yeah.
I think there are definitely a handful of builds.
These are spells that are good. Like, Hex and Disguise Self and Shield, of course, is great, but I don't think any of these are the ones I would choose if I was getting Magic Initiate.
Yeah, I'm inclined to. These aren't like the top of the top. These aren't the very best of the best that you can get with Magic Initiate, I don't think.
All right. Well, that was Initiate of High Sorcery. Thank you, Sam, and thank you, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Oops. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.